Hello everybody, I'm KC, and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About. Today, let's talk about the latest episode of Doctor Who, The Pyramid at the End of the World. Strap yourselves in, kids, because there's a lot to take in here. After receiving the information on the simulated world created by the monks, the Doctor is on high alert, and he's not the only one. But first of all, I love how they handled the previously on in this episode with Bill telling the story to her date. It makes it more enjoyable to watch the recap, and I kinda love how direct Bill is about her relationship with the Doctor. You know, most companions just keep it as a secret, but not Bill. But admit it, Whovians, if you were traveling with the Doctor, you wouldn't be keeping it a secret either. Damn it, Bill is so relatably charming. But Bill's date is interrupted by the head of the UN, of course, so they can find the Doctor, their emergency president of the world, which I love that is still a thing by the way, when they discover a brand new pyramid right in between three of the world's most powerful armies. Like I said, there is a lot of stuff going on in this episode, but the main point is figuring out what the monks want and if the humans in charge will give it to them. We'll explore this more in a minute, but first, let's address the Doctor's blindness. He is still blind and still using the sonic sunglasses to aid him somewhat. The idea of using the glasses to walk around his handicap bugged me at first, since it seemed like it was making this plot point pointless, but the limitations of this solution are made a lot clearer here than they were in the previous episode. He can sort of see with the sonic sunglasses, but mostly just vague shapes of the walls and structures around him. He can't see any details around him, and he can't see people at all. Giving it more thought, this was a pretty good idea. With the Doctor's insistence on keeping his blindness a secret, it would have made it a lot more difficult for him to keep that secret if he was bumping into walls all the time. Eventually, someone would ask a few questions, and this was the best way around that. I think they were trying to mimic the echolocation of bats, which makes sense since they're, sonic sunglasses. The episode also has a great group of one-shot expendable characters, from the army representatives to the scientists in the lab the episode cuts back to during the story with the monks. Outside of one of the scientists, Erica, who shows some great initiative when faced with the crisis later in the episode, has some great moments towards the end, and is performed by a delightful actress. None of the others stood out that much, and I honestly can't remember any of their names, but they served their purpose in the story, and they did it well. And what was that purpose? Well, to help the Doctor negotiate with the monks on what they want. And what they want is interesting. The monks say they want to save humanity from an imminent disaster, but in exchange, they want the planet and the love and consent of the people. A good chunk of the episode is just the characters sitting around talking about what to do, if they can solve the problem themselves or give themselves to the monks. And it makes perfect sense that this episode was co-written by Peter Harness. Harness's script seemed to weigh heavily on choice and the results of those choices. In the Zygon Invasion two-parter from the previous season, it was about the choices one makes during a dispute that could result in war. But in Pyramid at the End of the World, it seems to be about the choice of freedom versus security, which is admirable and very topical in this day and age, but also very difficult to pull off since it's such a sensitive topic. But the episode handles it pretty delicately. Each choice a character makes may not be rational, but it's understandable. How much of their freedom are these people willing to give up for the sake of safety from an unsure future? The monks don't seem interested in destroying them. They are very civil and are only lethal when the characters are put to their tests. And while the Doctor is sure that there is a catch to this deal the monks are offering, and let's be honest, so are we, because this is Doctor Who, none of the characters come off as stupid or irrational for wanting to hear the monks out or even accept their offer. It's really gripping television, from wondering how these people in a lab are going to bring such a big disaster, to every time the monks are one step ahead of the troops or even the Doctor, to the Doctor trying to walk around his blindness while dealing with such an unusual crisis, to really not knowing where the story is going, if they can fix the problem at hand, or if someone will be accepted under the monks' conditions. It's the kind of quiet suspense and social commentary that's akin to a Twilight Zone episode, and it stacks up with some of the best in Doctor Who. But naturally, there were a few great lines, and even a few jokes thrown in to mix it up a bit and keep the dialogue fresh, including a jab at Trump. I'm surprised it took this long, to be honest. But then there's the climax, where everything comes together and falls apart. In a clever bit of strategy by the Doctor, he finds out where the lab is that contains the bacteria that could destroy the world. At first, the Doctor is racing around, fixing up a solution, and cracking one-liners. For a minute, it looks like the day will be won after all without the deal. But that hope is dashed away as quickly as it came when the Doctor is locked in the lab that he's about to blow up, and he can't get out because he can't see the lock. And this just happens to be when Bill is contacting the Doctor, he confesses that he is still blind, right when she's in the heart of the monk's pyramid. Well, that's not good. Personally, I thought this was an excellent way to incorporate the Doctor being blind into the main conflict. Something as arbitrary as a padlock is what stands in the way of him saving himself. And yeah, Bill consents to the monk's demands under the condition that they give the Doctor his sight back, which they agreed to. Now honestly, this could have come off as a really dumb move, especially the folks at home who know that regeneration is a thing. But I thought this twist worked. Bill knows this isn't a good idea, but it's the only option she sees to save her friend. And sure, the needs of the many and all that jazz, but that's just it. She knows that the universe needs the Doctor, and she has complete faith in him to fix whatever happens to the Earth under the monk's domain. Like she said, she made an executive decision. What is important to remember here is that Bill hasn't been doing this that long, and most of the time, this stuff is pretty overwhelming for her. But this carries hints of Martha Jones throwing the sound of the drums, which, if you ask me, can only be a good thing. I admire the bravery and strategy from her here. It really makes for a chilling cliffhanger. Overall, oh my god, this episode was so good. Like I said in my first impression of Extremist, this is still a section of a larger story, so I can't say the storyline is incredible yet, but right now it makes perfect sense to me that this is the meat of this arc. The acting is superb throughout. The monks continue to be this quiet, laid-back species, which kind of makes them more unsettling, and the entire thing is absolutely gripping. The scenario really gives it a huge air of suspense. Even if it's mostly just people talking about how to handle the situation, my eyes were glued to the screen. And that, my friends, is what makes great television. And there is even more to this story. The next time trailer looks like this is going to be a great conclusion, but there were some loose ends in this episode that may have bigger consequences. Does Missy's appearance in the next time trailer imply she was released from the vault? Will the Doctor's sight be taken away once the deal with the monks is inevitably be broken? Did Nardole die just when the fans were getting to like him? And most importantly, will a certain someone else meet the same fate? We'll find out next time in The Lie of the Land. Man, these titles are awesome. Until then, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.